So once I get this off, there we go. Crazy tools other than some of these little specialty pullers.
At the speed I was going could have been over in a flash. Those dark nights were blinding, always waiting for the crash.
There we go.
Feeling of your touch, that's what kept me alive.
I'm not gonna say it's had better days.
Hold my children again, the reason for this drive.
It's a magnet here that helps catch all the little shavings, so nothing crazy. There's no big chunks. We'll still clean all of this off. And now I need to pull off the old red stuff here, and then I'm gonna clean it up. A little bit of brake clean and some steel wool. Then I'll give it a final spray down, just in case any of the steel wool gets stuck here. I wanna get this cleaned up. You don't wanna take off any metal, but I do want it to be nice and clean. Now, I was really careful with the steel wool. I basically covered everything and I've given it a good wipe clean since doing that. I'd like to have a different way to do this for cleaning. However, I'm using what I got. I also cleaned the inside, just enough, got rid of some of the nasty chunks and old oil and stuff in there. I'm just being very careful not to damage anything as I go. All right, magnet's about as clean as I can get it. It's kind of hard to use to clean a magnet when all the shavings keep sticking. But that's gonna be going in there. Now that there's no shavings or grease, it's kind of loose. So I'm gonna be careful not to lose that. Now, I'm not gonna use steel wool anymore because little pieces were falling off and I was having to clean them. I got a nice little wire brush and that has been doing pretty good at keeping my surface nice and clean. None of these little chunks are falling off either. So I'm working around on here, every little spot I can. I'll get everything clean. So I got these things cleaned up pretty good. Now I just have to remember where I put all the parts. Want to hear the most annoying noise in the world? Alright, I have my new bearing from Toyota. Got that ordered in. It was about $60. I'm sure you could find a knockoff or somewhere a little cheaper, but that was the only place in town where I was able to get one. In order to get the bearing onto the shaft, I'm gonna have to warm up the bearing since I don't have a press to squeeze that thing on there. So I'm gonna put the bearing in an oil bath, heat that up. I'm gonna be using the same kind of oil that goes in my transmission, which is 75W90. Instead of the only other oil I have, which is 5W30 for a regular car. I'm gonna heat that up, and that's going to make it a whole lot easier to get onto here. So this is my little setup. I have my 75W90, got this here, and I've just got it at the bottom of a staircase. It's all cement, so I don't have to worry about fire issues. I'm going to go ahead and get the bearing in there. I'm going to keep an eye on the temperature. My goal is to, I don't want to see this thing bubbling, but I want to get it warm enough that it's going to allow me to slide it on a lot easier. Unfortunately, I don't have a temperature gauge, so we're going to have to guess at this one. Okay, I'm going to try to do this quick because it's kind of stinky. Make sure it's facing the right direction. There's a ridge on the top. Beauty. I didn't need to hammer that thing at all. Wow. That was amazing. Okay, this is the old inside of the old bearing. I put it on a lathe and I made it slightly bigger. Let's just give that a little tap. Make sure everything is seated. I'm not going to touch that until it completely cools. Oh, fantastic. I'm going to go get a fan. I'm going to put the old lock nut on top of there just to make sure that it stays where it's supposed to. It doesn't move up. The old shaft was also just left outside to keep it cool. That was amazing. Wow. Oh, that was great. That couldn't have gone any better. Beauty. Okay, I'm gonna let that cool for a bit. Now that is all kind of together. I've got my input and my output shafts roughly lined up. And I need to get this to attach here and here. Each of those little levers. So I'm going to be very careful. Try to get those all just kind of squashed on there. Beauty. And then I'm going to lift this up in one piece, do my best to keep all these levers aligned, and let's go get it installed into the case. I already put the differential back on. That thing seemed good, so there's no need to touch that. I think it's really lucky that I got this off the road when I did. The vehicle maybe had 20 minutes of driving on it from when I first heard the weird noises. So I got those lined up. I had to move those a little bit to keep everything aligned. I want to have that aligned together for when I do my install. That is going to ensure that everything is in the correct place. Okay, I'm going to be careful not to yank these around. There's two little ball bearings or balls that are inside here. Those fell out on me earlier and I just had to pop them back in. Be very aware of each of those little pieces, but keep that lined up. I'm now going to lift this all in one piece and go and install it. Input shaft first. I have to wiggle things a little bit. Line up my differential. I'm gonna have to spin a gear just a little bit to get it to slide in. There we go. Still trying to keep all these things aligned. There it is. That's better. Okay. Reverse fork can go up and down. I should be able to spin this, my diff, and everything here should spin together. Good. It's a pretty tight fit. Okay, there we go. I think we're okay here. I'm gonna go install the reverse idler. It's got three pieces, so you got your idler. That side goes face up. This part with there is gonna be going underneath. Reverse idler bracket. This needs to fit inside there. 2 bolts. These get torqued to, I believe, 15 foot-pounds. Again, just make sure all your surfaces are clean. Now this shaft has a line on it and it was pointing here, there to there. I remember that. When I put my case on, there's going to be a bolt that has to go into it, lined up exactly. If not, I'll have to basically put a small screwdriver in there and try to wiggle it around until it's right. I'm just going to line it up. Case is here and the bolt hole right there. So I'm going to make sure it's lined up, I'd say about there to that one fin. So that one fin right there. Okay, before I go and add everything else here, I know that I'm going to want to take off a few things. Old bearing, we're not going to use that anymore. I want to make sure that all the gears are functioning before I go any further. I'm going to find a sweet spot here, give it a little jiggle so that everything spins. Now right now it's a little tight because these shafts, they're not actually sitting where they're going to be when everything's in there. This is probably about 1 millimeter too low. So I'm going to have to lift it up a little bit, give it a little wiggle. And I should be able to rotate it. It should sound good. Back here I'm going to push it into first. Alright, first gear. So first gear is good. Slide this one back up to get into second. A little tight. There we go, second gear. Excellent. Okay, good. Back to neutral. This one goes down to get third. Go back to neutral. You can tell it's neutral because if you put your hand on the diff and spin this, it shouldn't spin at all. A little bit of resistance. There we go. Okay, to the next gear, I should be able to slide that up, keep everything else aligned. Just jiggle. There we go. There it is. There. It was just a little sticky. But now everything should be able to spin with that last one. Okay, I think I'm good here. I'm happy with all that. These have been torqued down. Everything's been cleaned. Brake cleaned it yesterday. I just gave it another good little scuff and clean there. Making sure there's no random stuff. I've got a cat and a dog in the house, so I've had to take a little bit of animal hair off here too. Next step is to use a little bit of gasket maker. I'm using an Optimum Black gasket maker. So this was recommended to me by one of my local machine shops. I'm not going to run my finger along this at all. I'm just going to let this take care of itself. I'm going to get this installed, put the case on, and then I need to wait about 1 hour before I can actually torque it down. But I can still finger tighten my bolts down. So this is a big final step. I'm a little bit nervous, but let's go for this. I'm going for about an 1/8 inch wide. I'm not going to go inside those holes, but I will go around them. I think I might actually cut this a little bit bigger. I'm also going to be going around all the bolt holes afterwards. This is a very hard tube to squeeze. Should I roll it like a tube of toothpaste? Okay, I've made it all the way around. It's going to be thick enough. I'm going to very carefully, without disturbing the sealant, install my top case. Gotta make sure to be able that my shafts are able to go up and down, so I'll be able to install some retainer pins. Yep, I'll be able to wedge that up. It'll be a little tricky, but I should be okay. Okay, I'm gonna go and install my bolts. Just finger tight all the way around. I also have my 3 here. Again, I'm not going to torque those down, but I'm going to get them close. Those ones, they're a different length than my other 13 on the outside. These ones are only 4.5. Again, just snug enough, not torqued yet. I have to let the gasket maker sit for about 1 hour. Okay, I flipped it back upside down. I've got a couple things I can put in that aren't going to alter this 1 hour wait time. I have my reverse idler shaft bolt that was here. Remember that one that I had to line up? Let's see how we do. I've got a new washer on there as well. If I can't quite find it, I might have to stick something in there to kind of wiggle it around. It's just off by just a little bit. There we go. Line it back up. There it is, no problem. Not tight, not yet. We're going to torque that later, but that at least is in the right place. Good. Alright, so it's been 1 hour. I've gone ahead and torqued a few of these already. There's no reason to watch me torque that many bolts. But, click, click. Click, click. Good for everything here. Check your sheets, your actual torque specifications, because yours might be different than mine. I'm just following another guide, and so far that seems good for me. Yeah. I can torque my reverse idler bolt from prior. So all those previous ones, housing bolts, I have 13 on the top, 3 on the inside, and the reverse idler were all torqued to 22 foot-pounds. 22 foot-pounds, according to the guide that I was following. All right, next thing I'm going to install, I've got snap rings for both of these, my output input shaft bearings, and there's a small snap ring that's going to go around here. 1, 2, 3. Now you can't quite see where these are. You're actually going to have to lift these shafts up to expose where it's going to be. You might have to leverage it up. That one's going to be a little bit easier because I can just pop it on. A trick that I saw on the internet for this one, if I lean this over and put a socket, there we go, a socket underneath here, it's going to help hold it up for me while I'm doing this. Okay, I've got that exposed. I should be able to walk this around here. Let's get one edge in. There we go. Should be able to just kind of push it around. Done. That one was nice and easy. I'm going to remove that socket from underneath it so it rests normal. Now this one's a little bit trickier to pull up, so I'm going to do a little bit of leverage. I'm going to use the gear that came off of there. I've got a new nut, because you have to replace it because of that little indent. So if I pop that open and use this here to leverage, that should be able to pop it up enough that I can get to what I need to. Okay, same deal here. Get one in. It's gonna be tricky to do this with one hand. I might have to use a screwdriver or something. I've got a helping hand. My son's just on the other side. I'm gonna snap that side in. There's one. Walk it around. Done. Okay, let go. Perfect.
Your hand.
It's a little greasy, isn't it? Okay, I'm gonna put those to the side for just a moment. Next, I have my bearing retainer plate. I'm just gonna give it a quick little wipe again, just to confirm that it is clean. There we go. There's only one way that this one can go. Just make sure you don't put it upside down. There's that little bowl shape that goes down towards your bearings. Should just fit in there. That gets to go on top right here. Gonna finger tighten those in, and then they get torqued to 14 foot-pounds. Crisscross pattern, just like you do a car tire or anything like that. Just snug them before we torque. It all still seems like it's spinning good. Torque wrench to 14 foot-pounds. I like to double check them all just in case. Click, click. Good. Okay, before I go any further, let's check to make sure it's actually still shifting. Because I still have this part off, I can use a screwdriver to get in there. I'm gonna start with the one closest to you, force it down, that's first gear. Be able to push it up, second gear. All right, first gear. Be able to get it up there, make it stick. There we go, second gear. Reset that one back to neutral. We're gonna go ahead and install the detent ball, the spring, that little sleeve, and that little bolt for the end here. So we're going to carefully get that in there. Put a little bit of thread locker on there as well. Yeah, I should be able to make that one go down. There we go, third, good. Neutral, back to up to 4. Locked in, beauty. Let's get that gear back installed onto the output shaft with its brand new bearing. Careful of these splines. Make sure this is going on the right direction. This little lip is faced up. Should just kind of, there we go, fall into place. You can get a special tool to do this. However, I just have pipe. I'm going to start with the old bearing and a rubber hammer. I could probably also have heated this thing up to do this on here, but we're just going to try this first. If I have to pull it off, I'll pull it off. Almost there. Now, we have to get this to a specific height. Do you remember I took that measurement here? Now, my reading was between 1895 and 1900. I'm currently at about 18, so I have another millimeter to go. It's actually going on a whole lot easier than I thought it was going to, so that's good. Measure all sides just in case, but I'm reading 1900. I want to make sure everything still spins. That's a good thing. No crazy rubbing noises. I've got my new nut. Let's get that installed. I'm not going to torque this down yet. But we'll at least just finger tighten it down. Just going to lubricate the shaft a little bit. Clean my fingers later if I need to. I'm going to install the spacer. This one doesn't really matter the direction. That will go there. Half bearing things. They're already nice and lubed up. Good. Next gear. It should just slide down over top of these ones. Align it with the gear as you go. There we go. Beautiful. Blocker ring. Those parts face down. Here, I'm just going to lubricate that a little bit more. Okay, now that that's on there, see those little gaps? I need to be able to line those up with these little things. These move up and down. Now these are held in by, again, there's a spring on either side. Make sure that you didn't lose these, because I don't know how to put those back together. I just was really careful. I'm going to go ahead and line that up, get it on the spline, and make sure that when you hit this down, it's going there. Otherwise you're going to have to pull it off and redo it. So I can't get it down really any further just by hand. But I want to line up, again, right here, those little parts with the opening here. There, let me shed some light on there. That, again, lined up with that opening. Again, I'm going to use my old bearing to pound this down. Nice and steady. Good. So those lined up with those little gaps so far. This one, I have my measurement down to 7.9 millimeters. That is so I can also get a snap ring in there. So I haven't exposed that yet. There's a thrust clearance here I need to worry about. Starting to see the gap for where the snap ring's going to fit in. Alright, snap ring's close. Let's take a measurement here. Things are still making good noises there. The measurement that I had originally was between 7.89 and 7.92. 7.9. 7.9. Yay! This is good. There we go. Synchronizer ring. Happy times. I'm going to go ahead and try to get that snap ring in there. Flat blade screwdriver. Might be able to just push it, or a little tap with the hammer should do it. Good. We've got this sleeve to take care of. Now this could go either way. We don't want that. It should be completely flat on the top. The bottom of it, those little ridges kind of curve into it. Now, each of these little spots here, where those little pin things, I gotta line those up, and there's a spacer for those. So very carefully, let's get that lined up so I can actually kind of see what I'm doing here. It should just slide down. Beauty. Yes! There we go. Now if it spins a little bit, you should be able to go down to engage those gears. Yeah. Go up and down. Yeah, this is good. Alright, once I've confirmed that that all fits, I'm actually just going to take it off. Be very careful not to lose these keys, just so I can get rid of this. There we go. Okay, I'm going to put that back on. Just kind of carefully. Press down to engage fifth gear. And I need to tighten this nut. So I'm going to use my little screwdriver trick, put it into third gear, and then we're going to torque that to 87 foot-pounds. Laid it on its side. I'm going to get this torqued down to 87 foot-pounds. Fifth gear and third gear are engaged, so that way it doesn't spin. Click, click. 87 foot-pounds to specification. Now I got to hit that with a chisel and a hammer to dent that in, so it won't be able to wiggle loose. There, you can see where I've dented it in there now. Still got more parts to go. Let's put it back into neutral. That went a lot easier this time. Good. Fifth gear out of there. So now we are fully neutral. I'm going to take that part off. Just gently ease that out of there. I want to make sure the springs don't come apart. Let's get this lubricated up a little bit. Wish I had a little squirt bottle for this. That'd make that a little bit nicer. Lubricate those teeth. Teeth? Whatever they're called. There we go. Engaged. Not engaged. Spinny. There's that little weird bolt. That's going to have to go into there. So I'm just going to press this down. I can screw that in. I'm going to put a little bit of thread locker on there. 10 foot-pounds. Over tighten this or that'll snap off. I don't want to go back to the store for anything. Okay, got some other detent balls to take care of. Spring. The thread lock. These ones get torqued to 18 foot-pounds. Just want to make sure this was going in the right one. Nope. Nope. Yes. Okay. Good. 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 Gently. Spring, sleeve. A little bit of thread lock around there. Also, the one that goes on reverse. That one is all in one big piece together. Torque to 18 as well. I keep periodically doing this just to make sure. Now I've got more parts on, I'm going to go through the gears and make sure they're all still good again. So screwdriver trick through here. First set of things there. Press down one time. That gets you into first. Give it a spin. Good. Neutral. Spin. Second. Spin. Neutral. Second set. Press it down. That's going to get you into third. There we go. Third, spin, neutral. Fourth, good. Last set, you're gonna press down to get into fifth, and that's gonna bring this one down. There we go, fifth. Good. Finally, that last one, press it up. That's gonna put everything into reverse. There we go. Everything is spinning. Back down into neutral. Okay, since I'm happy with all that, I can go ahead and put that final snap ring in here on that last little shift fork. Start with that, I'll tap it with a hammer. Okay, it stopped recording, but I had grabbed it with my needle nose pliers and just kind of pressed forward and then popped it out and then used the back of my pliers and just finished the job and got it in there. Backup light switch goes just here, just underneath where there's that whole shifting mechanism. I've got that all cleaned up. I've got a new washer on there. Put some thread locker on it. Yes, what do we got here? That's a 1 1/16. And we'll torque that in a second. So it looks like it's apart. I had this 95% put back together. In the last 20 minutes I took it apart again because when installing my shifter lever assembly, that little part broke off. So I had to take apart the entire thing again to take out this one little metal part. So I can either buy this whole thing, I guess, or see if I can somehow get off that one assembly. Yay.
It's hard to know which way to go. Come and find me, come and find me. She's dressed for snow in your winter coat. Through the slight breeze, through the slight breeze.
There we go. That is exactly what I want to happen.
The city sleeps with autumn leaves on the side streets, uninviting. I spend my days in the summer haze by the pine trees. All the times we knew not what's right, so intertwined. I remember